Hello internet friends, my name is Catherine and I'm the human behind creating Miss Couture. So in today's episode of In the Dye Pan, I am going to use layers of dye and twist in the skein to create color inspired by the Ember gemstone. So it's one of those very beautiful gem that has very many different hues of yellows and oranges and slight brown, and I'm very excited to try to recreate this color. So let's get into this. So we'll begin by adding my acid to the pan, and I will be adding 9 cups of tap water into the pan. So this is a low immersion style because I still want some of the skein to remain slightly bare, so that way when we do the second side of the skeins, we still have those bare yarn strands that will be absorbing the second color that we're going to be adding for the layers. So I'm going in with my first color, which is a yellow, because of all the yellow undertones of the Ember gemstone. So I'm almost matching my sweater. That is quite funny actually. So we are stirring, making sure that we are blending the color within the pan as well. And we will be taking our skeins. I'm using my soft DK base on this colorway. So it's a 75% superwash merino wool and 25% nylon. So you can see here with the low immersion that the tops remain white as of right now, but that with time you will see that the color is absorbing slowly into the skein of yarn. And one of the reasons I'm trying to start with that specific color is that because it's a little slower to absorb within the skein. So I just want to make sure that we've got all the color in before adding the second layer. So that way I'm avoiding any mix in the color prematurely, I would say. So now that we have all our skein, I just make sure that everything is covered relatively in a uniform manner, and we will wait for the color, the first layer of color to absorb. So I would say like roughly 15 minutes. I will have the heat on now. I always start without heat to make sure that it takes a little longer for the color to absorb that way. So now it's been 15 minutes. I'm going to be checking up on the color to make sure that everything has been absorbed. You can see I've already placed a pan next to me so that I can take those skeins, put them in there, and then add my second layer. So now you can see that it's been fully absorbed. Very happy with that. And you can see that there is still those little pieces of white or very, very faint, like very small hues of yellows, which is also another thing that is nice with this kind of technique. It's that some spot will have darker shades on it, and then some strands will have lighter shades, so it creates this beautiful tonal. And my second color is an orange. So that way we can have that other layer of orange from the Ember gemstone, which is just a friendly reminder we're trying to recreate this color. So now when I'm retwisting my skeins, I'm doing it from the other side, so that way the strands that were left bare or with very little dye in it will receive colors. That's what I'm doing right now. And I'm not necessarily adding more acid at this time because I don't feel the need to do it. So when it comes to acid, this is something you will need to find your rhythm with, because some tap water is naturally more basic or more acidic. So this is something I would recommend for you, is to buy those little strips You can buy them on Amazon, or like I'm pretty sure you can buy them at like a pool store or stuff like that. And you would be able to determine if your water is acidic or not, and adjust your dye techniques from there. Because if it's more acidic, you won't need as much you won't need to add as much acid into it. All right, so now we will wait another 15 to 20 minutes to make sure that we're absorbing all the color, and we'll be back with the third layer of color that we will be adding. So we'll see you back in 20 minutes. So it's been 20 minutes and the color is pretty well absorbed. You can see that there was like little pocket of dye here and there that were left. It's usually within the corners that we see this. So like I'm just like playing out a little bit with it so it will be absorbed within the skeins in a few seconds. But I'm very happy with how much dye has been absorbed. So we'll be able to add the third layer of color. And like I did earlier, what I'm going to do is that I will be removing the skeins from this, and then I will put them on the pan next to it. I will be adding the dye in the pan, and I will be retwisting from the other side so that way we can do the same thing as we did earlier and have all the little strands that are like lighter in colors or don't have any dye yet on it, so everything will have a little bit of dye on it. So let's squeeze those as little skeins and let's get to work. So we're adding our third layers of dye, which is another type of orange, a much darker one, but still like a moodier one. So we're going to be mixing it within the pan to make sure that it's well covered everywhere. And it's kind of funny how it creates like those subtle change in hues within the water. So we're retwisting from the other side to make sure that we're catching all those little strands that are missing any colors, as you can see. So once it's been in the pan, we'll let it cook for about 15 to 20 minutes. And just also a friendly reminder that all the equipment I use are only used when I dye yarn. I do not use any of those when I'm cooking food, just to make sure that like we don't cross-contaminate anything. So I will let this sit in the pan for 15 to 20 minutes and we will see you in 15 to 20 minutes. So it's been about 20 minutes since we added this layer of orange, and now we will be checking in to see if it's been absorbed. So there's still a good amount of orange left in the dye pan. However, I'm not surprised because that orange, which is a saffron spice from Dharma acid dyes, that it just takes a whole lot longer to absorb, but there's still a good absorption within the yarn. So I'm just going to go and add my black. And you would think, why would you add black into this color? Will not be too dark. No, what it's going to do is going to create like an extra layer. And if you look at your color wheel from your color theory, you will notice that if you add black to orange and stuff like that, it will create like a kind of a brown color. And you can see I'm adding it flat this time. So that way it's a uniform absorption that you will observe on the skeins to create the new color. So all this orange and yellow will turn slightly moodier and a little bit more on the brownish side, which is what I'm going for with this color inspired by embers. So like we did earlier, we're going to let it sit in the dye pan for another 15 to 20 minutes, and we will see you back in 15 to 20 minutes to rinse off and see if we have any leaks from this color. So now I'm actually expecting to see some bleeding into my rinse water right now. simply because I've used saffron spice from Dharma acid, and this color, first of all, it's harder to strike to the yarn, so there's always some leftover in the dye pan, and also because this one just always bleeds when I'm working. It doesn't matter how much acid I'm adding, it doesn't matter how long it cooks on the stove, I always have leaks when it comes to this color. Now the question is to see how much of a bleed we're going to have in the water. So let's see how it goes. So there is some, you can see some underneath the underneath the bubbles, but it's not as bad as I was expecting. So there was a good absorption, which I'm happy with. Yeah, there's still some bleeding there, so we're just going to rinse as much as we can until we get too much annoyed, or until it runs clear. And that's why sometimes when you receive certain colors from indie dyers, they will bleed, and it's not necessarily because they didn't properly set them up, it's just the nature of the color. So when you're dyeing yarn, you just have to figure out which dyes will always have a little bleeding and kind of make your peace with. So as soon as you have neon, for example, neon pigments like fluorescent fuchsia and stuff like that, you know it will leak. So there's not much we can do with some of those. So I'll just speed up the process here, and we'll hope that we get something soon. And here's our final yarn next to the color inspiration. I think I did a pretty good job with this one. Going with different layers of color was definitely the right choice to catch all the subtleties of the embers, because all embers are slightly different, especially if they haven't been polished. So you can see all those subtle yellows, browns, oranges, and even like some red hints into this yarn. So I'm very happy with it, how it turned out, but I feel like if I were to redo this, I would probably be adding some speckles to capture those little bubbles in the stones. I'm very surprised I didn't do any I didn't do any speckles, because I usually like to add a little speckle here and there, but I wanted to try it out, and I'm very happy with how it turned out, don't get me wrong. I just feel that the speckles would have been added a little extra oomph to this, especially because of how the raw embers seems to be porous, so I feel the speckles would have added that porous effect. But hey, this might be just an excuse to try it out again. So anyways, thanks for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and if you've liked it, please you can leave a comment or like the video, and if you are wanting to follow the journey, subscribe, and well, thanks, and we will see you soon.